Ladies and gentlemen, what does it mean to inspire? To move hearts and shift mindsets, to awaken a dream buried deep in someone's soul. It's not just about accomplishments, it's about leaving an indelible mark that resonates across generations. Today, I want to tell you about a woman who embodies that power. She didn't come from privilege or walk into the world with everything figured out. No, her beginnings were humble, her resources scarce, but her spirit unshakable. She had every reason to settle for mediocrity, but she chose to rise. She didn't wait for the perfect moment because she knew that perfection doesn't build legacies, perseverance does. Her dreams were audacious. She looked at the world as it was and saw it as it could be. Where others saw obstacles, she saw opportunities. Her vision wasn't just about breaking glass ceilings, it was about lifting others to climb even higher. And yet, the path wasn't easy. She faced moments that would have brought the strongest to their knees: rejection, doubt, failure. She met them all. But what set her apart was her courage. She didn't allow fear to dictate her destiny. She stood tall even when the world tried to tear her down, showing us that the storm may rage, but it cannot uproot a tree planted in purpose. Her impact is felt in the lives of those she touched. Through her work, her words, her actions, she lit torches for others to carry forward. Every child who dares to dream bigger, every leader who chooses service over self, every soul who refuses to quit owes a debt to women like her. Her wisdom wasn't hoarded, it was poured out like rain, nourishing the seeds of potential in others. She believed in the power of legacy, that her influence wasn't just for her time, but for generations yet to come. At the heart of her journey was faith. She walked through valleys with a conviction that she wasn't alone. She knew her life wasn't just hers, it was part of a divine design, a story written by hands greater than hers. And that faith, it was her anchor, her compass, her fuel. So what about you? What story will your life tell? You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to rise when you fall, willing to believe when doubt whispers louder than hope, willing to take the first step, even if you can't yet see the whole staircase. Generations are waiting for the fire in you to ignite. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Your life has the power to inspire a world you may never see. Let us honor the women who have inspired us, not by merely admiring them, but by becoming like them. Be the woman who stands firm, dreams big, loves deeply, and dares to inspire generations. Thank you. What does it mean to inspire? To truly inspire someone is to spark a fire within their soul, a fire that grows and spreads, illuminating paths they never dared to walk. It's not about being perfect, and it's not always about being first. It's about showing up in the fullness of who you are, flaws and all, and giving others permission to do the same. Inspiration is raw, it's authentic, and it's deeply personal. When we think of those who inspire us, we don't just remember their achievements, we remember the way they made us feel. They remind us that greatness isn't reserved for the extraordinary, it's born in the everyday decisions we make to keep going, to love fiercely, to fight for what matters. It's about the single mother who sacrifices for her children's future. It's about the teacher who invests in a student no one else believes in. It's about the leader who chooses integrity over convenience, even when no one is watching. True inspiration is more than admiration, it's transformation. Every great story has a beginning, and hers was far from glamorous. She wasn't born into privilege or handed a roadmap to success. Her journey started in a place most would overlook, in circumstances that seemed to promise little more than survival. Yet even in the midst of her humble beginnings, there was a spark within her, a quiet but unshakable belief that she was meant for more. Her world may have been small, but her dreams were expansive. She looked around and saw limitations, but she refused to let them define her. She wasn't blind to the challenges, she faced them daily. But instead of shrinking back, she leaned into the struggle, letting it refine her, strengthen her, and prepare her for what was to come. Her vision wasn't just about what she could see, it was about what she dared to imagine. She looked at the world around her, at its pain and its potential, and saw something others couldn't. Where others saw walls, she saw doors waiting to be opened. Where others saw lack, she saw an opportunity to create abundance. Her vision wasn't confined by the limits of her reality, it was fueled by the boundlessness of her faith and determination. She dreamed of a life that wasn't just bigger for herself, but better for everyone she could reach. Her dreams weren't selfish, they were selfless. She envisioned communities healed, generations lifted, and hearts set free. She dared to think beyond what was practical or possible because she knew the greatest achievements in history were born out of impossible dreams. But dreaming isn't easy. It requires courage to believe in a future that doesn't yet exist, to take steps toward a destiny that others might call foolish. She faced the skeptics, the naysayers, and the critics who questioned her ambition. Yet she pressed on because her vision was never for them to validate, it was for her to fulfill. Her dreams became a blueprint for those who came after her. She didn't just dream for herself, she dreamed for every child who needed hope, every woman who needed strength, every soul who needed a reminder that there is more to life than what we can see. Her vision was the bridge between what was and what could be, and through her relentless pursuit of it, she inspired others to dream beyond their own limits. Her vision was a force that refused to be contained. It didn't settle for what was, nor did it stop at what others said was possible. She dreamed beyond limits, beyond boundaries, beyond the expectations of the world around her. Her vision wasn't just about personal achievement, it was about creating something that would outlive her. It was about changing lives, shifting mindsets, and building a legacy that would ripple through time. She looked at broken systems and saw opportunities for healing. She looked at closed doors and imagined ways to build new ones. Her vision wasn't limited by her circumstances or the opinions of others. It wasn't born out of privilege or convenience, but out of a deep conviction that life was meant to be more than survival, it was meant to flourish. To dream beyond limits requires a different kind of strength. It requires the courage to stand alone, the faith to keep going when the path is unclear, and the resilience to rise after every fall. She didn't have all the answers, but she had the audacity to believe that she could find them. Where others saw impossibility, she saw potential. Where others hesitated, she moved forward. Her vision wasn't just for herself, it was for the people who didn't yet know they needed her. It was for the little girl watching from the sidelines, needing to see that someone like her could rise. It was for the dreamer on the edge of giving up, needing to know that persistence pays off. Her vision was a gift, not just to her generation, but to every generation that would follow. She dreamed with her eyes open, fully aware of the risks and challenges, but even more aware. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward in spite of it. Her life was a testament to this truth. She didn't walk an easy road, and adversity seemed to meet her at every turn. But instead of retreating, she stood her ground. She faced storms that would have broken others, not because she didn't feel the wind or the rain, but because she refused to let them define her. There were moments when the weight of her challenges felt unbearable. She was no stranger to heartbreak, failure, or the kind of setbacks that make you question everything. Yet, in those moments of despair, she found her strength. She didn't wait for someone else to save her. She became her own rescue. Every obstacle became an opportunity to grow. Every trial a lesson in perseverance. Fear whispered lies to her, telling her she wasn't enough, that the mountain was too high, the journey too long. But she silenced those voices with action. She reminded herself that fear might visit, but it didn't get to stay. She didn't allow it to dictate her decisions or define her destiny. Her courage wasn't loud or boastful, it was steady and resolute. It showed up in the quiet moments when no one was watching. It showed up when she chose to keep trying after failure, to keep loving after heartbreak, to keep believing after heartbreak, to keep believing after disappointment. Her courage wasn't just for her, it was for everyone watching her fight, everyone who needed to see. Her impact wasn't built on grand gestures or sweeping declarations. It wasn't about loud proclamations or widespread recognition. It was found in the quiet, consistent steps she took every single day, each one rippling outward, changing lives in ways she might never fully understand. She didn't set out to be a hero. She simply showed up time and time again, and in doing so became one. She didn't wait for the world to come to her. She met it where it was, with compassion, with strength, and with purpose. She gave without expecting anything in return, not because she had excess, but because she knew the value of sharing what you have, no matter how little it may seem. Her acts of kindness, her moments of encouragement, her words of wisdom were like seeds scattered across the ground, seeds that took root in hearts, minds, and communities. But her impact didn't stop at a single moment. It wasn't just about a fleeting gesture or one-time help. Her influence was in the ongoing relationships she built, the trust she cultivated, and the lives she touched, sometimes without even knowing it. She planted hope in the hearts of those who thought they had nothing left to give. She helped others believe in themselves when they couldn't see their own worth. The beauty of her impact is that it wasn't always visible. Sometimes the change she sparked was slow, like the slow growth of a tree. It took time to see the fruits of her labor, but they were there, quietly growing beneath the surface, reaching out and touching lives in ways that would echo long after she was gone. She taught us that every small act of kindness, every moment of compassion, and every word of encouragement can create a ripple effect that transforms the world. She didn't need accolades or praise to know that her actions mattered. She knew deep down that changing lives doesn't always require a stage or a spotlight. Sometimes it's the smallest step that makes the greatest impact. Her wisdom wasn't something she kept to herself. It was a gift that she poured into others, a light that she passed down through generations. She understood the power of knowledge, but more than that, she understood the power of sharing that knowledge with others. Her wisdom wasn't just in the words she spoke, but in the way she lived, the choices she made, and the way she carried herself through every season of life. She didn't just tell people what to do, she showed them. She taught by example, living out the lessons she had learned, not for praise or recognition, but because she knew that the greatest gift she could give was the strength to help others stand on their own. She understood that wisdom isn't about being the smartest in the room, it's about knowing how to navigate the challenges life throws at you and sharing that knowledge with those who come after. She spoke of resilience, not as a theory, but as a practice. She shared what it looked like to keep going when everything within you says to give up. She taught patience, not through lectures, but through her own quiet endurance. She passed down the lessons of love, kindness, and courage, not because they were easy, but because they were essential. Every conversation she had, every story she shared carried the weight of experience, the kind of experience that only comes from living fully, embracing both the highs and the lows, and growing through it all. wisdom wasn't a one-time transmission. It wasn't just something you learned and then moved on from. It was something that had to be lived. She understood that for true wisdom to be passed down, it had to take root in the hearts of those who received it. And so she gave, she guided, she nurtured, and she trusted that those who were ready would carry her lessons forward, teaching them to the next generation. She knew the value of leaving a legacy that wasn't measured in material things, but in the strength, knowledge, and values passed down through time. Her wisdom was a thread that wove its way through the lives of everyone she touched, linking past, present, and future in a continuous cycle of growth and learning. And though the world may change, her lessons, those timeless truths, remain, carried on by those she inspired to live with purpose, strength, and grace. Her faith was the anchor that held her steady in the storms of life, the quiet strength that kept her grounded when the world around her seemed to be crumbling. It wasn't the kind of faith that was built on easy answers or smooth paths. It was a faith that was forged in the fire of hardship, tested through trials, and strengthened through every setback. Her faith was not just a belief in something greater, it was a deep knowing that she was part of something far beyond herself, something that gave her life meaning, direction, and an unshakable sense of purpose. She didn't lean on her faith only in moments of peace or victory. She leaned on it in the hard times, when every step forward felt like a battle, when the future seemed uncertain, and when doubt crept in. Her faith was a daily decision, a decision to trust, to surrender, and to continue walking even when she couldn't see the way. She knew that her purpose wasn't just about what she could achieve, it was about fulfilling the calling that had been placed on her heart, the calling to serve, to uplift, to heal, and to inspire. Her faith wasn't something that demanded perfection, it simply demanded persistence. It asked her to keep going, even when the road ahead seemed too long, too steep, or too dark. She understood that her journey was part of a larger story, one that she might not fully understand, but one that she trusted to be unfolding exactly as it should. And with each step she took, she trusted that the purpose that anchored her would guide her, even when the path wasn't clear. Her faith gave her a vision that wasn't limited to the immediate or the visible. She looked beyond the present, beyond the challenges, and saw a higher calling that pulled her forward, that called her to be more, to do more, to do more, and to give more. She knew that her life wasn't just about her own success or happiness, it was about fulfilling a divine purpose that stretched far beyond her own understanding. And because of that, she lived with a sense of peace that came not from knowing every detail, but from trusting in the greater plan, in the divine. And so we stand here today inspired by her example, by the legacy she's created through her vision, courage, wisdom, and faith. She taught us that greatness doesn't come from the spotlight or from recognition. It comes from the quiet decisions we make every day to rise, to push forward, and to be true to the calling that rests deep within us. She showed us that the power to change the world begins with one person, one step, one act of faith at a time. Her life reminds us that we all have the potential to inspire, to impact, and to leave a mark that will resonate for generations. Like her, we are all capable of dreaming beyond our limits, facing adversity without fear, and living with purpose anchored in something greater than ourselves. Her legacy lives on not in the places she went or the titles she held, but in the hearts of those whose lives she touched, whose lives she transformed. As we walk forward, may we carry with us the lessons she's passed down, the wisdom she shared, and the faith that has fueled her journey. And as we go on to live our own lives, may we honor her by continuing the work she started, lifting others, dreaming beyond limits, and walking in faith, knowing that we too are part of a larger story, one that will echo far beyond our time.